FBI and U.S. intelligence officials told Congress tonight there's no indication that Major Nidal Hasan was directed by any terrorist organization to carry out his attack at Fort Hood. But they also confirmed what ABC News had reported earlier, that the major had made contact with a top al-Qaeda recruiter and that U.S. intelligence and the U.S. Army knew about it long before last week's massacre.
This is the man the major was in contact with, Anwar al-Awlaki, a charismatic American Muslim imam who now operates a website out of Yemen that calls on all Muslims to wage war against the United States.
The key here is jihad or no jihad.
Al-Awlaki is known as a major recruiter for al-Qaeda. He would be the spiritual motivator, almost like someone you would go to say, this is what I'm thinking about doing, and then they join in and encourage you and basically help you rationalize your behavior.
Before he moved to Yemen, Al-Awlaki was one of the imams at this mosque in Falls Church, Virginia. Hasan attended here, and so too did two of the 9/11 hijackers. One of the current imams says Al-Awlaki knew how to relate to young Americans.
They wanted someone who knew about American culture, the American idiom, who could relate to young people, a person who was even witty.
Officials say the Army major had between 10 and 20 contacts with Al-Awlaki beginning late last year. These are some of the scenes now circulating on the web produced by Al-Awlaki that seem to glorify violence and martyrdom.
Many people cannot understand the motivation behind jihad fi sabilillah. They don't comprehend it, and until this day they don't understand it. They fail to see that it is for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. A person who is dying for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, for something greater.
The Army major's messages supposedly included religious issues and social issues, but members of Congress are now asking why the military did not do more once it learned Hasan was sending emails to Al-Awlaki.
What his objective is to incite people to attack, and specifically he talks extensively about attacking the U.S. military. So absolutely, if this guy is in contact with American citizens, it is something that should have raised major red flags.
But in the case of Major Hasan, it did not, even after Army intelligence was told of the contacts, and there was no full field investigation by the FBI. And now at Fort Hood, the wounded are among those trying to make sense of it all. In a series of exclusive interviews inside the Darnall Medical Center, Bob Woodruff of ABC News talked at bedside with some of the survivors.
It was surreal. We had just spent two months training, and so, so I thought this was a training exercise.
Including Captain Dory Karskaden, a combat stress specialist from Wisconsin.
You were shot right in the head?
Yeah.
Where?
Actually, right here.
It's
just skimmed it. Yeah.
Do you know anything about Hasan who shot you?
I understand that he was a psychiatrist. It's unfortunate. He obviously had his feelings about it. I'm glad that he's alive. I'm glad that they'll be able to question him and find out what was going on.
Shot here in the arm. It broke the smaller bone below the elbow, and then I got shot right here in the femur above the knee.
For Major Randy Royer, the close encounter with Hasan was still too traumatic to discuss.
Did you see the guy coming out and shooting?
I can't talk about that now, Bob.
Okay, gotcha. You just can't talk now.
You can go as far as you like. Just remember you got to come back.
Private First Class Justin Johnson took his first steps today after being shot in the back by Hasan.
Did you see the guy that was shooting you?
Yes, I looked at him once.
Do you know who he is?
Or twice. No.
This bullet went through my humerus, I think, and into my chest, and it collapsed the lung, and so they had to put a chest tube in.
Specialist Dana Ferguson was shot 4 times at close range by Hasan.
I think he was like 2 or 3 feet away from me, so, yeah.
Did you try to hide?
I was trying, I mean, there was nowhere to hide, so I just kind of like curled up and put my head in a chair and my feet out to the side on the ground.
On the jihadist website that so attracted Major Hasan, the recruiter, Anwar al-Awlaki, today offered words of praise for his latest success story. Nidal Hasan is a hero, he wrote. He is a man of conscience who could not bear living the contradiction of being a Muslim and serving in an army that is fighting against his own people. And he added, Nidal opened fire on soldiers who were on their way to be deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. How, he asked, can there be any dispute about the virtue of what he has done?
He apparently has the ability to convince people to kill others and perhaps even kill themselves for Islamic extremism. And that, in and of itself, it makes him potentially extremely dangerous.
U.S. officials said tonight that Hassan will be tried by his peers in a military, not a civilian court. FBI and military investigators tried to interview him yesterday at his bedside, but he refused to talk without a lawyer present.